Situated on the western shore of the Malaysian peninsula, roughly halfway between Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, Malacca was once important port and center of power. The city arose as an important center of the Malacca Sultanate in the 15th century and drew the attention of explorers from all over the world, many of whom eventually made it their home. This influx of cultures not only created stunning and diverse architecture, but also gave rise to unique culture, a blend of Chinese, Indian, and Portuguese influences. Together with the local population, these communities formed a rich cultural and genetic heritage that is now integral to Malacca's distinct identity.
Historically, Malacca was important port already from the Middle Ages, and with the beginning of expansion of colonialism, it often changed its owners from Portuguese to British to Dutch, and of course there was always big influence of merchants from Middle East, Arab merchants, and of course Islamist Caliphate. Quite soon, or exactly it's said, Sultanate was developed here, and blend of cultures, traditions, and different architecture you can find all around the city. Therefore, Malacca is probably in Malaysia architecturally the most rich city and the city with the biggest European influence. Due to its colonial architecture, Malacca became part of UNESCO World Heritage list in 2008.
From the 16th century onward, Malacca became an important hub of colonial activity. It was successfully ruled by the Portuguese, the Dutch, and finally the British, whose rule ended in 1957 when Malaysia proclaimed independence. Malacca's prominence gradually declined as global attention shifted to nearby competing ports, such as Singapore. Yet its cultural and historical legacy remained deeply embedded in the city.
Malacca was not only important trade post, but it was also very important military outpost and place for security of the whole Malayan Peninsula, almost for everyone who was staying here. Starting from the Sultanate of Malaya, later by colonial forces from Dutch, from Portuguese and British. Today you have a lot of old remains of military fortifications, like this Dutch one behind me, of Portuguese Sentosa, which is not far from here, more on the hill. And of course, on the coastline you can find a lot of remains of military installations.
Modern-day Malacca is a quiet city oriented toward tourism, but it becomes quite crowded on weekends and holidays, including Chinese New Year when we visited.
Old historic city Malaga has a beautiful waterfront next to its river, where you can walk on this beautiful pedestrian path covered with flowers, with some nice bridges where you can change the way, and on the walls you have historical artworks of the history of Malayas and Malacca.
The small but charming old town city center is protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and showcases splendid Dutch colonial architecture along with the nearby ruins of the Portuguese A Famosa fortress. Most historical sites are easy to explore on foot. Alternatively, you can rent a very popular though often quite loud tourist rickshaws. Just across the river lies another interesting area of Malacca city, Chinatown. With its narrow shophouses lined street and trendy cafes, blended with a diverse collection of some of Malaysia's oldest religious buildings. Malacca has abundance of museums. My favorite one was impressive Maritime Museum with a replica of Portuguese ship Flor de la Mar along the Melaka River.
Although the city of Malacca is actually quite big, it's one of the biggest cities of Malaysia. In touristic attractions and main historical things are quite close to each other, so it's quite easy to see everything just by walking around in the center. And I think one full day like we had is perfect to explore Malacca and to explore its historical sites, beauties, and the blend of different colonial, indigenous, and also local Asian from neighboring countries' cultures. Mostly, of course, Chinese, which is the most relevant and visible in whole Malaysia, but also there is Indian influence. And beside this, you should also try local cuisine, which is blend of Malaysian, Indian, and Chinese cuisine. It's called Nyonya cuisine. A funny name to me, without offense to anyone. For my taste, it was a bit too spicy, but I can't say that it's not tasty, that it's not original, and that it's not worth trying. Just rule of thumb, when they say it's spicy, it's extremely spicy. When they say it's little spicy, it's spicy. They say no spicy, usually it's really no spicy. So me personally, this was the choice, but preferences depends on the country.